Hi everyone, it's Philip here from Small Caps. Thanks for joining us again. Today we have a very special guest lined up for you. We've got the Honourable Bill Johnston, who's the Minister for Mines and Petroleum on the phone, and he's ready to answer our questions. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you. Pleased to be here.
Now, obviously you look after Mines and Petroleum over in WA, which is a booming sector. What excites you in the industry right now?
Well, obviously one of the things that really excite me is the opportunity in lithium and battery technologies. This is a real opportunity for Western Australia, not just in mining, but also in downstream processing.
Absolutely. Seems to be a growing area in terms of future demands, and a lot of companies are obviously getting onto that bandwagon. And what is the government doing around that to kind of help facilitate and support companies that are looking to get in that space?
Well, I mean, we're very lucky here in Western Australia that we have a good, solid regulatory regime. We're very familiar with the needs of the mining sector. We've got good technology companies here that are able to support mining, but also processing and the further value adding in the battery metal space.
And now, in terms of obviously we touched on lithium, that's going to be a growing space. But a big question everyone wants to know about in WA is the gold royalties tax and what the latest is with what's going on there.
Well, it's not a tax; it's a royalty. It's the price at which we sell the material in the ground to the mining companies. Obviously, the regulation to change the royalty was defeated in the upper house. That's disappointing because we have a major job to bring the budget back into balance here in Western Australia. The gold sector is doing exceptionally well. The price of gold in Australian dollar terms is highest it's ever been. We have many successful companies, and there is an expectation of the community in Western Australia that everybody share in the responsibility of repairing the budget. I'll just note that we've asked the unions to accept less than they were expecting. We've increased the cost of services provided to ordinary families in the state, and we've reduced the benefits going to senior citizens. So we've asked everybody to share in budget repair. So we were obviously disappointed that the gold sector alone didn't want to participate in that. But as I say, that matter was rejected by our upper house of Parliament.
Yeah, it must be. It's easy for me sitting on this side of the fence. Obviously, it must be tough on your side. You've got to try to keep everyone happy and find a happy medium. However, you touched on 2 points I'd like to delve into a bit deeper. One of them being the unions, but first, with regards to royalties to the regions, can you give us an idea of how that works in terms of the regions, like let's say it's in the Pilbara or wherever these mining operations are being conducted? Like, what percentage stays in the region and what goes to the state and what goes to the federal? Is it like an even split, or how does it typically work?
Taxes go to the Commonwealth predominantly. We don't. State governments charge only a very small level of taxes. We charge payroll tax and land tax, but that's predominantly obviously all company tax goes to the Commonwealth government, and of course income tax on individuals working in the industry goes to the Commonwealth, and obviously because wages in the mining sector are on average higher than in other sectors, that means the Commonwealth government proportionately benefits more out of Western Australia. And of course, in respect to the goods and services tax, we only get a very small share of our West Australian goods and services tax back. So the Commonwealth does very, very well out of the resource sector in Western Australia, and we would hope that the Commonwealth would do more to assist Western Australia because we are not being fairly treated by the Commonwealth, and that's one of the reasons that our budget repair task here in Western Australia is so difficult, because we receive such a low return of our goods and services tax in Western Australia. And let me make that clear. Western Australia, our exports are what drive Australia's economy. There's nothing bad about Western Australia's mining sector. It's very strong. 800 million tonnes of iron ore exports, just as an example. The reason that people on the East Coast have such a high standard of living is directly related to the success of Western Australia's resource sector. If our resource sector was not as successful as it is, people living on the East Coast would have to have a much lower standard of living. Just to give you an example, about 3%, just under 3% of Australia's whole GDP goes out through the port of Port Hedland. And so that one channel there where we're exporting lithium, we're exporting iron ore, we're exporting manganese and all these other materials, if it wasn't for that channel there at Port Hedland, Australia as a whole nation would be considerably worse off.
Yeah, it's a good point, and maybe I'll speak for everyone here in Melbourne. Thanks to WA, you're keeping us the number one city in the world for a couple of years running. So thanks to all the miners out there. But yeah, it's
exactly right.
It's like we were saying earlier. Obviously, you're dealing on a state level, but then on a federal level, it becomes tough to obviously manage. And I'm glad I'm not the one making those decisions. Obviously, the country benefits from the sector, which is why particularly your role is so important, because that's predominantly where it's all done. So yeah, no doubt that's how you got your title.
That's right. I mean, this is. I always say that I've got the best job in the world, because who wouldn't want to be the Minister for Mines and Petroleum in the world's number one resources jurisdiction? So I'm very proud of the work done here in Western Australia, and it does benefit our state, but it also benefits the entire nation.
Absolutely. I think people are pretty aware of that. Obviously, when there's a downturn in the mining industry, it impacts everyone. So, I think everyone's pretty appreciative of the mining and all the work that takes place. Now, one of the other things you touched on there was with the unions. Now, we've got news out that the merger between the MUA and the CFMEU has been green-lighted. How do you see that impacting the industry, or what are the implications of that, do you think?
I don't think there's much implication. The mining sector is not heavily unionised. It doesn't appear to be a particularly important issue.
Another thing I was going to touch on in terms of the government funding some of these operations, we're saying to help find these new areas of exploration. As the Geological Survey of WA, are they looking at any particular areas that have been identified recently, or any hotspots that have come on the radar? Obviously, the Pilbara for its gold has been under the microscope in recent times, getting a lot of interest. But is there any other areas that are come onto the radar?
Well, one of the great things here in Western Australia is the work of the Geological Survey, and we, through the EIS, the Exploration Incentive Scheme, we fund the survey to do pre-competitive work to expose the geology in Western Australia, and the survey had its open day 2 weeks ago in Fremantle, and I was very pleased to go along and look at the work of the Geological Survey, and it's all available online. So one of the Western Australia's strengths, and again one of the reasons that we have such a strong resource sector here, is because of the work of the Geological Survey in exposing what the mineralisation of the state looks like. And I recently, or in the middle of last year, opened the Gruyere gold mine, which was found through the application of the Exploration Incentive Scheme, both through pre-competitive work done by the Geological Survey, and then through a drill hole that was supported by the co-funded drilling program.
Yeah, nice. And for our punters listening at home, have you got any inside word you can give us on some areas that have been identified? I'm sure they're all wanting me to ask that.
Well, what I'd say is that I'm not here to give investment advice, but you can't go wrong by investing in the West Australian sector. It's been very successful over a long period of time. The work of the Geological Survey to expose the geological potential of Western Australia is very important. It's all publicly available, and it's one of the reasons that we're such a well-regarded resource jurisdiction.
And just with that, we've got some exciting things going on, and I believe the government's helping out with the co-payment in some of these innovation exploration areas. One of them being Artemis, that's about to put it's over 3 kilometre drill hole into the Pilbara. Is there any others like that taking place, or worth mentioning, or companies that have applied that are of interest?
Well, the next round of the EIS is actually the co-funded drilling program is open right now. So if people have got a good idea for a exploration project, they should certainly talk to the department about the opportunities to participate in the EIS. co-funded drilling program, because it's a great opportunity to look for new opportunities here in Western Australia.
Yeah, and with that, I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of companies that are we're going to listen to this interview. Where can they go to find out more or apply for this government scheme? Yeah,
to the Department of Mines, Industry Regulation and Safety's website, dmirs.wa.gov.au, and they can find all the information on the website there, including access to the Geological Survey of Western Australia's information and all the geological information, contact details for the survey, and they're very keen. The department is very keen to work with potential investors here in Western Australia to make sure that everybody's got an opportunity to find the next big thing.
And with that, one of the questions that seemed to come up from a lot of the directors I spoke to in the industry was, and like you're saying, you're obviously working to try and make these things easier. Is there anything being done to kind of speed up the approval process for acquiring leases and drilling applications?
Yeah, I mean, the department is constantly working to improve its procedures. It's always interested in feedback. I'm always interested in hearing from potential investors about specific examples of things they think can be improved. And of course, we still are working on the mining amendments that weren't proceeded with, didn't get proceeded with in 2016, but we are still considering how we can move forward with those amendments to simplify procedures even more.
Well, yeah, I think that's what they want. They always say, we need the less red tape as possible. So it's good to see that you're obviously on side with that, and you want to work together to help grow the industry, because, like you said, everyone benefits, whether it's at the state level, investors, or at the national level as well. And now, in terms of current and future trends developing in the industry, what do you see coming through, or what do you see on the horizon in terms of mining, both in WA and in the mining industry as a whole?
Sure. I mean, look, the reason that Western Australia's mining sector is so successful is because it's about the applied application of technology. It's about being at the forefront of innovation. And the future success of the industry will be about continuing to apply technology. This is not an old industry. This is a modern, contemporary industry that's at the leading edge of technology. The application of driverless vehicles, autonomous machinery, the application of remote sensing, the application of big data. They're all things that are being used in the resource sector. The examination of using mobile phone technology underground. These are all cutting-edge technologies that are being applied to the industry, and that's where the real excitement is. We're very lucky that we do have great mineralisation in Western Australia. But the reason that companies like Johnston and Albemarle and SQM in the lithium space are coming to Western Australia is because they know we've got the technology that they can apply to get their projects underway. They know that we've got the skilled workforce that they'll be able to get their projects happening, and that we've got the regulatory environment that will allow them to make money out of their investment.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen a lot of the companies come in there to get offtake agreements in recent times to try to secure supply, and even the big companies. I mean, we've got Apple and Tesla and these guys obviously trying to get their hands on the raw material. So, yeah, you're right in saying obviously the technology can change and will influence what metal's getting mined, but obviously the mining industry is always needed in a growing world, which is a perfect way to segue into our final point, which is you're going to be the guest speaker at the upcoming Lithium and Battery Metals Conference in Perth. That's on from the 21st to 22nd of March. If people want details, it's on the Small Caps website under the events page. So if you want to grab a ticket, you can head there. Now, can you give people that are listening a bit of a teaser to the upcoming conference, what you're going to talk about and what's going to be presented there?
Yeah, well, I'll be talking about the success of our industry and the strength of the opportunities here in Western Australia in the battery space. The fact that we have effectively all the minerals that are needed to create a battery, and that we've got investments in processing here in Western Australia that's going to give us the opportunity to build a world-class battery minerals sector that we've got. We can supply the commodities required. We've got world competitive port facilities and domestic downstream processing capacity that we can develop to fill this important global need.
Absolutely. Sounds like an exciting future still ahead for the mining industry in WA, and I'm sure you're going to have your hands full making that happen, Bill. So thank you very much for coming on today and giving us an update on everything we spoke about. And yeah, look forward to seeing you at the upcoming conference. Is there anything else you'd like to leave a message with people listening at home?
No, I just finished by saying, that Western Australia's success is because of the hard work of the people in the industry, the technology, the application of technology, the entrepreneurial spirit, and the risk-taking capacity of Western Australia's industry. And so we welcome more participants to strengthen our industry for the benefit of investors and the whole community.
Well said, Bill, and thanks for taking the time out today to speak with us here at Small Caps.
No worries. Thanks, Philip.